Why are so many people upset about the interim probe report that came out over the weekend? Why does it raise more questions than answers? First, let me tell you what this month-long investigation reveals. It now confirms beyond doubt that external factors like bird hits were not responsible for the crash that took place. In fact, it says no significant bird activity is observed in the vicinity of the flight path. The Boeing 787 was only airborne for 40 seconds and started losing altitude before it even crossed the perimeter of the airport. It rules out any anomaly related to either how much fuel that was there on the plane or the weight of the plane. All that the report citing recorder data on the plane says is that both the fuel switches were cut off within a second of each other. The report also cites an exchange between the two pilots, which I quote now. It says, in the cockpit voice recording, one of the pilots is heard asking the other, why did he cut off? The other pilot responded that he did not do so, unquote. So when I ask why the report has angered many, the first group of people that we are talking about are the pilots. Here's why. The two pilots who were flying were Captain Sumit Sabharwal and co-pilot Clive Kunder. In fact, the report says that the co-pilot was flying and the captain was monitoring. However, in the report, they remain nameless. All that the 15-page report does is give us their stats: age, license, hours of flying. But the crucial missing piece they don't give us is the full transcript of exchange between the two pilots. According to the experts, it is standard practice to just reproduce that in the interim report because the final report will probably take a year. So why do the investigators simply say one pilot asked another pilot whether they put the fuel control switches off? Why the need for paraphrasing instead of the exact transcript? Why do we not know whether Captain Sabharwal said it or co-pilot Kunder? By releasing this information and not the full information, the investigators and their report seem to hint towards a manual error instead of a systemic one. And thus, you have all pilots associations, the Indian Commercial Pilots Association, ICPA, and the ALPA slam the report and its nature. They said it was not only irresponsible, it is deeply insensitive to the individuals and families involved. Many pilots that my colleague Neha Lal Tripathi spoke to point out that the dead pilots are easiest to blame since they aren't there to defend themselves, unlike the huge corporations that are the airlines or the aircraft manufacturers. The second factor that have many calling out this report is the lack of accountability in it. Now, no one expected the report to have all the answers. However, in an issue that is so sensitive and has such high stakes, the authors of the report should have the confidence to attach their names to it. If you scroll down to the end of this report and its 13 takeaways, all it says is end of report. Why haven't the authors signed off on it? This is a point that has been raised by various experts. It's another matter that we only got to know the team that was investigating, led by Sanjay Kumar Singh, from the report itself. While AAIB and the government said that making this report public was a step in transparency, it may have given the report extra credibility if we knew which officer had signed off on it. One other point that the pilots pointed out was that among the 5 investigators probing the crash, there is not one pilot. Having a trained Boeing 787 pilot may have given extra credence to the report, whatever their finding. A minor point about the publication here is the strange time it went public. Was there a specific reason why it was published at 1:30 a.m. India time? Unfortunately, there is no answer to this question as well. Finally, and this is cause for major consternation, there seems to be an implicit clean chit to Boeing for now. How? Well, what do you make of this line in the report which says, and I quote, "At this stage of investigation, there are no recommended actions to B787-8 and or GE engine operators and manufacturers," unquote. Now, if you go by the international civil aviation guidelines, The objective of such an interim report is to give a sequence of events and not assign blame, to suggest urgent recommendations if necessary. The report itself says that they are still looking at all data and not all of the data recorded has been interpreted or analyzed. So, why did the investigators need to say they have no recommendation towards the manufacturers? As has been reported many times before in international publications, Boeing has been at the center of major scrutiny after whistleblowers pointed out problems in the assembly of their aircraft. There are court documents and on-record statements which even went to the extent of saying that while Boeing later fixed some of these problems, but there are issues with the Dreamliners which were part of the initial batch which was sent to India. In light of all these incontrovertible facts, the seeming clean chit has made many suspicious. Of course, the government has had to take note of this outrage, with Aviation Minister Ram Mohan Naidu trying to calm things down by saying that everyone should wait for final report and it was unfair to jump to conclusions. There's also the fresh audit of fuel switches by July 21st after several airlines decided to do so because of the theory of possible malfunction. The interim report had mentioned a 2018 international advisory looking at disengagement of switches in Boeing, but they pointed out this was only advisory in nature. But we are seeing the government respond to some of the negative pushback after the interim report. After all, for the families of the 260 who were killed, the least they can expect from all the agency is an assurance that effective measures are underway so that this kind of accident is never repeated.
In a world where business never stops, Mint keeps you ahead, any screen, anytime. From studios to the ground, Mint breaks down business, leadership and lifestyle, boldly, visually and smartly. From boardrooms to markets, from personal wealth to industry trends, we bring you the insights that matter.
Mint is doing brilliantly well. It's a well-read page, I would think.
What fuels India's biggest CEOs? Ride along and find out.
I have to work that much harder. I have to put that much more in.
Over the years.
Yes.
Earlier I could say, no, I can't afford it.
Yeah.
But now I can.
Want to invest like the pros? Learn from India's top market experts.
Things like that worry me about markets.
I don't want to buy a house to invest.
Your money, your future. We make finance simple. Step inside breathtaking homes and the creative minds behind them.
So we are at the house in Camellias. I think Camellias is the most expensive property in the NCR and probably the most expensive in the country.
India's real estate scene decoded. No jargon, no fluff.
Home buyers will have more bargaining power.
It's a great time to buy a house as well.
Some chase success, others create it. Meet the ones who made the impossible possible.
I don't want to be a doctor, I don't want to be an engineer, I don't want to be an accountant. That's the most fragile thing. Poof, it will go away.
वो ताली ऐसी थी ना, इतनी addictive थी, मैंने कहा बॉस अब तो यही होगा.
We don't just talk business, we show it, and the world's watching.